Welcome to our program. We're bringing you this very, very important show from the Royal Thimphu College here in the capital of Bhutan. I have a wonderful guest here with me today, Father Joseph Kinlay. He's here with me to talk about what he is all about, really. Well, you know, he is the first and the only native Bhutanese who became a Catholic priest, and he's a Jesuit. He joined the Society of Jesus many, many years ago. He's also got an MBA to his credit, but let me not take away from him. Let me ask him what it's all about. Father, thank you so much, Father Kinlay, for joining me today. It's just such a pleasure to meet somebody like you today. When and how did it all begin for you?
Anyway, Jennifer, pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
Where to begin? You tell me where to begin.
No, at least, you know, maybe your priestly life at least.
Priestly life.
And it's been 30 years, right?
Yes. Now, on the 23rd of October this year, I completed 30 years as a priest. But as a Jesuit, almost 38 years.
Wow.
Because we have a long formation.
Yes, indeed.
You know that. Anyway, let me begin by my schooling. I did my schooling at St. Joseph's North Point, Darjeeling. And then I went on to do my 11 and 12 in Bangalore, right. St. Joseph's PUC. Then I went on to St. Xavier's, Mumbai, where I did an honors in sociology. After that, my uncle happened to be guiding my studies, and he was the ambassador of Bhutan to India. And so he was very keen that I do an MBA. I didn't even know what was an MBA,
yeah, right.
You know, but he was very aware of what's happening in the market and things like that. And at that time, Bhutan had never even heard of MBAs as we do today, no? Even in India, MBAs
yes.
were a rare...
yes, it was not a very common thing. Yes.
So he wanted me to sit for the entrance exam, the CAT exam. So I had to prepare for it with all my energy. And unluckily or luckily, I got in, because I was not very keen to do an MBA. I was more keen to do a Master's in Social Service at the Tata Institute in Bombay.
That's
TIS.
right.
And I got into TIS on my own. But I had to listen to my uncle because he was guiding my studies. So I joined IIM Bangalore, and I completed my MBA from there in 1983. And then in 81. Then I came back to Bhutan, and I worked with, I had all those days, there wasn't this big entrance exams to join the government, you know. We were freely chosen by the various departments as we presented our credentials. So I had a job in the Foreign Ministry, Finance Ministry, all the ministries. But HRH, Her Royal Highness Ajit Diki, she's the sister of our third king, grand aunt to our present king. She was having also a lot of industries. So she wanted me to be her manager. So I couldn't say no to such a beautiful princess. She's really wonderful. You know, I saw her yesterday briefly on the television at that peace prayer meeting. Anyway, so I worked with her for 3 years. I was the managing director of that company, Dickey Corporation. And I worked with her for 3 years. I started the first bottling plant in Bhutan. Those days it was Camper Cola. India had not yet liberalized with Coke and Pepsi and all that. So we had Camper Cola, Fanta, Limca. Those days, you remember all those drinks, yes? And we started Kinlay Cable Industries. I also was working with Godrej in Bhutan. Our company was, so we were doing all the beauty products like Lakme, also in Bhutan, Synthol powder. So we were manufacturing all that in Bhutan. And I was working with this company for 3 years, and rather 1983 onwards till 1986. And in that 3 years, I was so fortunate to get everything what people work for a lifetime. My boss, Her Royal Highness, was so generous. So I got a house, I got a car, whatever.
You had it all.
I had it all, golden Rolex watch. And so I began to reflect, is my life going to be just, earning more money, having a beautiful house and things like that? And I had that Buddha moment, when Buddha went out of his palace and confronted those four stages of people's life, and that transformed Lord Buddha. So I call that my Buddha effect, but not instantaneously, but over a period of 3 years, I began to reflect, is my life just going to be, just going to make more money? And so at that time, I felt within me a calling to give my life for a bigger cause.
Right. So that's exactly the point I need to come to right here. I'm trying to, in my own mind, focus on where the religious part of your whole existence clashes with your temporal, in a way, in your temporal part of your being. How did that happen? Was there a moment that hit you?
Well, you see, the search was always going on in my mind. I loved doing my job as an, MBA, and I liked working. I liked to produce. I liked to see the achievements are there financially in the market. Goods are selling. All that as a marketing, as a person, I did all that. But it was never satisfying me. At the end of the day, I always felt a gnawing, something empty within myself.
So may I interrupt you? Then did you feel ever that was a little couple of years that were really wasted along the way?
No, I didn't feel that it was wasted, because even now today, in hindsight, I feel that having done an MBA from IIM, it helps me a lot in at present, I've been principal of several schools, colleges. Yeah. In fact, I was even supposed to be attached to this college. And
you are in fact attached, aren't you?
I'm just on the academic committee as an external person. Yeah. But in my working life, because of the strong, rigorous management training I got at IIM, it helps me a lot in all the things that I've done as a priest.
Right.
So I don't regret having gone through that.
Right. So next question, of course, the logical one is then, when did that priest moment actually hit you? I need to know that. That's very important.
My parents were after me to get married. I had a girlfriend. Ready to get married.
Oh!
But I couldn't make the final decision because, as I said, I had this feeling inside me that I wanted something more. So I was toying with this idea, what to do. Should I get married? Should I choose to live as a bachelor? Things like that. And I was praying about it. I said, God, if you want me to give my life totally to you as a monk, I'm ready. But please give me a sign, because, I am not going to be playing 50-50. I'll go the whole hog this way, or I'll go the whole hog the other way. So the moment actually came one day when I was traveling. I had gone to Hyderabad for an international bottlers conference for all our, all over the world, the international bottlers conference. And I was traveling back from Hyderabad to Calcutta. And lo and behold, I got my answer. Next to me, I was sitting in the plane already waiting, and they said the flight will be delayed because of VIP travel. So I was cursing these Indian politicians. They're always late.
Knowing Indian politicians, Father.
They always come late. And lo and behold, suddenly who comes and sits next to me?
Wow, that's a moment.
And I had always been admiring her.
Oh, yes.
I've been listening to her, to her talks, admiring her lifestyle. And suddenly this lady whom I adored and revered, she was sitting next to me. But she didn't pay any attention to me. She just sat down. She was busy with her bag. I don't know, ladies fiddling with her bag like that. But in the moment when the seat belts were off, she turned to me and said, "Young man, where are you going?" I said, "Mother, I'm going to Bhutan, to Calcutta today, and tomorrow I'll fly to Bhutan." She said, "Oh, you're Bhutanese." I said, "Yes, Mother, I'm Bhutanese." And our conversation started going because she said, "I had Bhutanese students when I was a Loreto nun at Darjeeling." She was a Loreto nun before that. And then we got a common friend. There was a brother in school from Yugoslavia, and she's Yugoslavian. And so we both knew that brother very well. So we started talking. At one moment, she asked me, "Are you Christian?" So I said, "Yes, mother, I have been a Christian for the last many years." She says, "How come? You're from Bhutan, and how come you are a Catholic?" So I had to tell her my life story and things like that. So at one moment, I began to open out to her and say, share the angst that was going on in my heart, torn between two lovers.
Yeah, really two lovers, yes, true.
And at a certain moment, she caught my hand and she said, looked into my eyes and she said, "Young man, I have not told this to so many young people, but I'm telling you, you have a vocation from God and you shouldn't be afraid to say yes." And that was the moment, I burst into tears and I found my answer. Right. And so that night when in my hotel in Calcutta, I decided I must leave all this and join the Jesuits, whom I really admired as monks. So I became a Jesuit.
Right. But tell me something. At that moment, did you have any real regrets about what you were leaving behind?
Oh, never.
No?
There was never a moment when I found all those things. Of course, there was moments of sadness, not regret, like to leave my mother and father, to leave my brothers and sisters, to leave my, in one sense, at that moment I had to go out to study in India, to leave my country. So yes, that type of sadness, yes, but no regret.
Right. Any fears about actually coming into the environment where you were going to be probably the only Catholic priest?
Not from the point of view of going and joining the Jesuits, because I already knew them.
Right.
But the fear, I was so much caught up with wanting to do what I wanted to do that the fears and all just faded away. Like it was there. For example, how do I face a country which is totally Buddhist? And I come from a Buddhist family.
Indeed.
And we are from the heart of Thimphu. My father was one of the first to start the Thimphu town.
I know, and a very prominent family, I understand from asking around, Father.
No, that is, some relatives and things like that. So definitely there was that moment of tension, moment of unease, but never regret, because I was gung-ho on what I found. It is like finding the pearl of great price, in the Bible.
Indeed, yes.
And one doesn't look back. So I have never regretted, never looked back, and I'm very happy.
Right. What about your family? How did your family actually take it? I know you had sadness about them, about the fact that you were going to leave them. But what was their reaction to what you had decided to do?
My father, of course, was very upset.
Angry?
Because angry, sad, upset.
Confused?
He was confused. He would have shot me. Because he was also an ex-monk.
Okay.
So my father was an ex-monk. And so therefore he was deeply into his Buddhist spirituality and things like that. And he had educated me hoping that I would rise up to his expectations.
Carry the flag.
Carry the flag. And here I was putting my tail between my legs and running away to be a Jesuit.
Right.
So definitely my mother was more supportive. My mother always felt, she was always my great supporter. She always felt that you do what your heart tells you. And if you are happy, that's it. So my mother was a great supporter.
So wonderful lady. Father Kinley, I want to ask you about your life as a Jesuit, because the Society of Jesus is known as a very tough existence. I mean, years and years of study and everything else. What was it like for you?
To be associated with the Jesuits has always been a big rewarding and also being a big challenge.
Even studying for 8 years?
14 years.
48, the first batch is 8, right?
Yes. Well, just for our viewers, and especially even to share with you a little knowledge, the first Europeans ever to be connected with Bhutan or to come to Bhutan were 2 Jesuits.
Yes.
There were 2 Portuguese Jesuits, all the way from the Mughal Empire in Goa, Delhi, on the way to Tibet. And they stopped for 9 months here in Bhutan. They were in Punakha, our old capital. They were in Tangucheri, they were big monasteries. They were in Paro, and our Shabdung, the founder of Bhutan as a country, he was so gracious to them. He even invited them to stay in Bhutan and to establish Jesuit institutions in Bhutan. But unfortunately, you talked about obedience.
Yes.
They were obedient Jesuits. They were told to go to Tibet. So one fine moonlit night, they ran away to Tibet. Okay?
Really?
That was the first time Bhutan got interacted with Jesuits. The second time was 4 centuries later, when our Father William Mackey, who got the highest award in Bhutan, the Son of Bhutan Award.
He got the citizenship.
He got citizenship also. He's Canadian Jesuit who started Sharapse College and the Punakha School. We have 2 schools, Punakha School as well as Kaling. And the Sharapse, the first college in Bhutan was established by the Jesuits.
Right.
Okay.
No,
So-
Father, by birth and by many of your early years as a child, you have obviously followed the Buddhist philosophy, and I'm just wondering how you've been able to blend the two. Are you able to do it successfully? Are you able to do it peacefully is the next word.
I'm comfortable with both.
Really?
Because I look at things not in an exclusive way, that you exclude one or the other. Why don't you be inclusive? I always tell people I am a Buddhist Catholic. And what do I mean by that? I'm culturally Buddhist, and I have great appreciation for Buddhism in all its various forms. But for me personally, I find that being a Christian gives me the best expression of my life. And that's the reason why I am a Christian.
Right. Now in 2008, you got the freedom of religion. Anybody was able to choose. Now, you have just 100 in your little parish church. How are you able to, is there any kind of friction that you face?
From 2008 onwards, in Bhutan, we have freedom of religion. So a Bhutanese citizen like myself can follow any religion. But our state religion is Buddhism, and that also Vajrayana Buddhism. Like you see the World Peace Prayer going on.
Yes, absolutely.
Such a strong Buddhist
movement,
ethos, culture, very beautiful thing happening at the moment. But for me personally, people ask me, Father, are you a convert? I say, no, I'm not a convert. I didn't change totally from this to that. The best example I give is on my Buddhist vest shirt, I put on my Christian coat. So I'm very comfortable to be in and out of both. But as an expression of myself individually, in particular, I'm a Catholic priest. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
Okay. And in Bhutan, we are not into converting people, the Jesuits especially.
Are you ever accused of that? Because we are conscious of that in India very much.
Very true, very true. In Bhutan, we are not into, at least I am not into, so therefore I'm the only Catholic priest in Bhutan.
Yes.
So we are not into proselytizing. We definitely want to convert people, but I as a former, not only being a Jesuit, I'm an educationist also. I want to convert my students to be good human beings. I don't believe in converting them from one religion to the other. If somebody wants to be Christian, wants to be Catholic, he is most welcome. I'll be very happy because I am one. But on the other hand, I feel that generally people should grow where they are planted. They should bloom where they are planted.
I think that's a very sound way. So you really don't clash with anybody, really, then, from what you're telling me.
No, not at all. In fact, I believe Christians in Bhutan are always going to be a minuscule minority. We were not even going to cross, you said 100. We are just about 200 Catholics in the whole country. So I, as their mentor, as their priest, I believe more in quality, that the Christians in Bhutan should be qualitatively good Christians than, getting huge numbers, but really not being there.
Okay. Father, you come from a very prominent family, I understand. Now, does that ever affect the way you're thinking as a Catholic priest?
No, I think there's a lot of Buddhists, I find they're very respectful. In fact, it is the Christians by and large in the world who are more intolerant. In my experience, Buddhists, not only in Bhutan, but you take other Buddhist countries like Thailand, Sri Lanka, I think the Buddhists in general are much more accepting and more tolerant.
And much more peace-loving. Father Kinley, I'd like to know what kind of work you're involved in. I know you're focusing on the youth, but what are you doing for the youth?
Well, explicitly, I work with two NGOs. The first NGO I work is called Truxo. I'm the president of Truxo. It's looking after handicapped children, youth, skilling them so that when they become big, when they leave school, they have jobs. The other NGO I work with is called OA, Organization for Youth Empowerment. I am the vice chairman there. And there we try to facilitate scholarships for the SAR countries. And also I'm available through that agencies for student counseling. But when I first came to Bhutan back full time, now I've been here 8 years. Otherwise I was all over the place, mostly in Darjeeling, Kalimpong area. But having come back here, the first thing I noticed is so many youth. 60% of our youth is below 23 years old.
Very young.
A very young crowd. And so I was thinking, what can I do for them? Then I found a lot of young people huddling up, 2, 3, 4 of them in one room, to save their rent and not having proper places to stay. So my heart was more directed towards how can I help? I cannot solve the problem of Bhutan, but let me, as they say, better to light one candle than curse the darkness.
That's true.
So I started a home. I have a building in which I can now accommodate about 50 students. I have at the moment 46 of them.
That's great.
All working boys in the city, working in the bars, taxi drivers, security boys, things who are doing odd jobs, who are earning anything between 10 to 20,000. So they are hard pressed to pay heavy rent. So now they can stay in this hostel for 1,500 rupees per month.
Right. The next thing, I'm sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and then I also help in the college here, in the sense I'm on the academic board here. At present, my sister is running a big boarding school. So this year I'm helping her I am also a part-time principal there. Right.
Now, Father, you were the provincial of the Jesuits in Darjeeling. So how easy was it to then transition yourself from in that position to coming back here and working at the grassroots level and choosing? You obviously made a very conscious choice to come back to Bhutan. So was that an easy move for you?
It was easy and difficult because you see, half of my life or more than half of my life, I was in India.
You're part Indian, really.
I am Indian.
Just half Indian.
Yes, I'm Indian in every way in that sense, especially food.
Oh, really?
I love Indian food. Anyway, so to leave behind the people I knew and know and love, all my students. I have been in that area. I have lots of friends. But somewhere in my back of my head, I always felt, let me give the best years of my life to my own country. So being in India was a learning process. I made all the mistakes in India and come and give the best to Bhutan.
Yes.
So last 8 years I have been here now.
Right. Were the Jesuits happy for you to come back here?
The Jesuits were happy because they know the long connection between Bhutan and Jesuits. There were Jesuits in 16th century and almost a dozen Jesuits, Canadian Jesuits, worked in Bhutan here in the 70s, 80s. Father Mackey, Father Coffey, quite a few of them. So the Jesuits were quite happy that I go back here and serve my own country. The only worry they had was that I had to live alone.
Right, right, okay. Indeed. Now, have you tried to get other Jesuits in here?
See, other Jesuits cannot come because
why?
They could come as teachers and and in other professions where they could, but as Jesuits, I think they would not be allowed, because the country has some policies regarding religion. But in their professional capacities, I think they will be allowed to come.
Right. Father, I have a very simple question now. You can answer it or you may not answer it. Do you ever clash with the politicians?
Not really, because I avoid politicians, because I think one career, I like all the careers, doctors, engineers, pilots, One career I don't like is politicians.
Really?
So, because you know, politics is a dirty game. Like you yourself experience in
That's true.
India.
Absolutely.
So in Bhutan, I really felt that, I personally feel that in Bhutan, we are too early for democracy. Our kings have been so enlightened and wise, and we are very lucky, fortunate to have such wonderful monarchs.
Right.
And under this system, I guess somewhere they have to begin some democratic movement. So the kings in their wisdom allowed us to have a democracy in the sense of having the politicians elected. But I don't see them doing anything great.
Really. But this actually having them elected is a new thing for this country, isn't it? Fairly new anyway.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And I understand that your fourth king, am I right, is the fourth king who introduced education into this country and played a focus on it?
Not quite.
Shone a
It is the
light?
third king. The
third.
third king is our king who opened up in the 1960s, sent lots, like including myself, lots of us send us to India, different parts of the world to study. So the first generation of school-educated Bhutanese like myself are all due to the graciousness of our third king.
Really?
And the fourth king, of course, took it further.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, I see as an outsider that Bhutan is going in a wonderful direction. I mean, it's just kind of keeping track with the rest of the world as well. I know that so many of our young people go abroad to study, come back, and all of that points to a very bright future for your country. Am I getting it right, Father?
Absolutely, because you see, the desire of our kings and our present king also is that Bhutanese youth are deeply rooted in our own culture, in our own country. At the same time, to have wings to go into. Today, if you go all over the world, you'll meet Bhutanese everywhere. You will meet Bhutanese, I think, even if you go to some remote corner of the world, you will meet Bhutanese today.
Right.
Bhutanese are all over the world.
Right.
But at the same time, I believe that all Bhutanese so far that I have met are also deeply rooted in their own culture, in their own religion, in their country. So all of us, like, I'm very happy to be back in my own country. Yeah.
Well, in conclusion, I'd like to say that I marvel at the way the local Bhutanese, the way your people actually revere your royal family. It's such a wonderful thing, you know, when you come as an outsider and you can see this amount of respect. And I'm going back with that as a very lasting impression. And Father Kingley, I want to thank you, bless you. Thank you so much.
God bless you, Jennifer. Nice meeting you too.
And thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. But it was great having this wonderful guest in here. And I've learned so much about the country. And I hope that you out there listening to us have also done the same. So you take care. Bye for now.